40 years. That's how long Israel wandered. 40 years of manna, of dry heat, of watching an entire generation die in the wilderness because they didn't trust God enough to go in. But now, finally, they're here. Shittim, the field of Acacias, a flat, open plain in what is now the country of Jordan, directly east of Jericho on the far side of the Jordan River. This was the last camp, the final stop before everything changed. Stand here for a moment. Look west, across the Jordan Valley. Jericho is right over there, shimmering in the heat, the promised land. But what happened here at Shittim? It began with Balaam. King Balak of Moab was terrified of this massive Israelite nation camped on his border. So he hired a pagan seer named Balaam and said, "Go curse them." But every time Balaam opened his mouth, he blessed Israel instead. God wouldn't let him curse what he had chosen, so Balaam changed his tactics. If he couldn't curse Israel from the outside, he would corrupt them from within. He counseled Balak to send Moabite women into the camp, to pull Israel into idolatry and immorality at a place called Peor. The curse he couldn't speak out loud, he engineered another way.
Even though Balaam did not curse Israel, he told them, just send your women in. Your women will turn them. That'll curse them. That'll get them to start worshiping this other God. Then that'll make your God mad. And it worked, didn't it?
And it worked. Israel joined in the worship of Baal of Peor. God's anger burned. A plague broke out.
While Israel remained at Shittim, the people began to play the harlot with the daughters of Moab. For they invited the people to the sacrifices of their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. Israel joined themselves to Baal of Peor, and the Lord was angry against Israel. Those who died by the plague were 24,000.
And the plague was stopped by a single act. Phinehas, Aaron's grandson, stepped forward in zeal for God's holiness, and the dying ended. And then, on this same ground, Israel was counted again. A new census, right here at Shittim, of the generation that would actually enter the land. The old generation had died in the wilderness, just as God had said. The new one stood ready. It was also here that Moses climbed Mount Nebo and looked out over the promised land and died. The man who led Israel out of Egypt, who parted the Red Sea, who received the law on Sinai, never set foot in Canaan. Why? Because at the waters of Meribah, decades earlier, he struck the rock instead of speaking to it. Moses died within sight of the finish line. But Joshua, faithful, obedient Joshua, was commissioned right here to lead the people forward. And Joshua wasted no time. From this camp, he sent 2 spies into Jericho. That's the story of Rahab, the woman who hung a scarlet cord from her window, who chose to align herself with the God of Israel, and whose life was spared when the city fell. Her name ends up in the lineage of Jesus. And then, in Joshua 3, they stepped in. Then Joshua rose early in the morning, and they set out from Shittim, and they came to the Jordan, he and all the people of Israel, and lodged there before they passed over. The acacia trees this place is named for were used to build the Ark of the Covenant and the tabernacle furniture. The wood of Shittim went into the most sacred objects in Israel's worship. Shittim means acacias, but this field is so much more than a tree name. It's where a nation stood at the edge of everything God had promised, having nearly destroyed themselves to get there, and chose, one final time, to trust and go forward. The prophet Micah would later point Israel back to this very stretch of ground and to Balaam by name. Remember what Balak, king of Moab, plotted, and what Balaam, son of Beor, answered him, from Shittim to Gilgal, that you may know the righteous acts of the Lord. Remember, don't forget where you came from. Don't forget what it cost. Don't forget who brought you through. The Jordan crossing isn't just a story about water stopping in its tracks. It's the conclusion of 40 years of failure, grace, judgment, and faithfulness. And it all ends here, in a field of acacia trees, on the plains of Moab. Shittim.